regular meeting of the Calimesa City Council. Darlene, can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Cundiff.
Here.
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Manley.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cervantes.
Here.
Mayor Molina.
Yes. And for the record, let it show that City Manager Colbo's here, City Attorney Flower, City Clerk Gertis, Finance Director Reed, Planning Director Lucia, Public Works Director Shakir, City Engineer Thornton, and Sheriff Captain Northrup are here tonight. Thank you. Would you like to pledge? Thank you. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, this evening we're pleased to have a presentation by Western Riverside Council of Governments by Chris Gray, Deputy Executive Director. Mr. Gray, please join us at the podium. Welcome.
As you said, I'm Chris Gray, the Deputy Executive Director of WRCOG. We've recently completed at WRCOG some work we're sharing with our member agencies on commuting, employment, and we have some information on the City of Calimesa we want to share with you. Mayor Pro Tem Cervantes is a WRCOG representative. He saw my presentation, asked me to come out, and so I'm happy to be here. So I call this 10 myths about travel, commuting, and employment. It's kind of dry, so I try to liven it up as much as I can. Not easy. So we have been looking at daily trip patterns, travel patterns, where people commute to work, particularly what counties they live in, what cities they live in, congestion patterns, and also what kind of jobs we have in each of our member agencies. So we're using data from the census, we're using data from a couple big data platforms, Replica, Streetlight, and Compass IoT. And one thing I want to share with everyone is we get this question a lot, like, well, does this data vendor violate my privacy? Actually, no, because you've either sold your data without knowing it, or you have sold it with knowing it, or you haven't opted out. So government's not spying on you nearly as much as Google, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, and the like. So we're using data that someone has purchased from a third-party vendor, and some of that data is for people like you. And that is the way the world works now. So we're going to talk about employed residents. So that would be people who live in the City of Calimesa who work, doesn't matter where they work. Live and work in jurisdiction. You have a very small number of people who live in Calimesa and also work in Calimesa. They're also same number as jobs held by residents. We're going to talk about home-based work trips, which is when you leave your home and go straight to work. Home-based other trips is when you leave your home and you go to anything else. And non-home-based trips is typically business trips or deliveries, trips like that. So we're going to talk today about a couple of important factors. One is number of people who live and work in the same city divided by total residents. You may not know this, but a fraction of Calimesa residents work. It's actually about 36%. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But we're interested in tracking how many people live and work in the same jurisdiction as a factor of the total residents and total number of workers. So just to show you how the trip purposes work in real life, this is my typical day. I have a 17-year-old daughter. My wife works at home. And so my daughter gets up, she goes to school, usually stopping at Starbucks. We tell her not to, she still does. I drive to the office. I go out at lunch to her office. We have a delivery person show up at my house. I then go back to work. But essentially, if you look at it, we have 10 trips associated with the 3 people in my family. So there are a lot of trips that are happening. We estimate in the entire WRCOG region, there's about 8 to 10 million daily trips. So people travel a lot, they just don't necessarily know it. And so the first thing we hear all the time is, well, all of our congestion is caused by people leaving the county. And it's not true. Except for you all, where a sizable fraction of your trips are leaving to go to Yucaipa. So about 40% of your trips on a daily basis leave Calimesa to go to Yucaipa for a variety of reasons. But they're actually not going all to work. But I would point out, you have people going to Orange County, people going to San Diego, people going to LA County. So some of your residents are traveling actually quite far. And so, yes, Yucaipa is a major destination, but so are places like Banning and Beaumont and Moreno Valley and places like that. But by and large, when someone leaves your city, they're going to San Bernardino County. As I said, they are going to other counties as well. You have one of the lower numbers of residents who live and work in the same, who work at all. And so it's not the lowest. But what I would point out to you is, I get this question a lot, like, well, don't more people work? Actually not. So if you subtract out people who are too old or too young to work, that's about 70% of the you have 70% of the population left. There's a factor called workforce participation, which is now down into the 60s. So there are millions of people who could work who don't. So in general, when we look at the whole WCOG region, between 30 and 40% of the people in the city actually work. And in Calimesa, it's 36%, so not the lowest, not the highest. And so what I want to point out is about half of your trips that leave a place in Calimesa. So if someone gets in a car somewhere in Calimesa, half the time they're going from their house to something that is not work. That is school, that is shopping, that is eating, or they're making that return trip. Your work trips are about 7% of your total trips, but there are also a substantial number of non-work trips. So again, deliveries, other things happening. So about a third of the cars on any road or more are not associated with anyone's home. They are work and delivery trips. And the reason why this matters is we'll talk about why this matters a little bit farther on. So for example, if you look at I-10, at most about 30% of the trips on I-10 are work trips. During the middle of the day, over half of those trips are non-home-based trips, which means there's a substantial amount of traffic that has nothing to do with anyone's work. It has nothing to do with anyone's home. I would also point out that a lot of your trips leave Calimesa. On average, is about 40 to 50%. Yours is about 25%, but you still have people who travel in Calimesa internally, but most of them end up leaving your city to go somewhere else. And you have one of the lowest rates of people who live and work in the same city. I would note that smaller cities tend to have lower rates, but there's very few people actually live and work who live and work in Calimesa in the same town. It actually used to be a little bit higher, and so when we've tracked this data over the past 20 years, everyone has actually gotten worse. It's gotten worse on the countywide level, it's gotten worse on the citywide level. In fact, if you pull out and say, people that just live and work in the same county, we're now under 50%, San Bernardino is under 50%, Orange County has gone down, San Diego County has gone down. So we have more commuting than ever that's happening between counties. And so this just puts Calimesa in the context of some of the other cities, which are roughly your size. I would point out the one outlier is Needles. It has a very high percentage of people who live and work. I don't know if I want to live and work in Needles, but I just want to point that out. Nothing against Needles. But as I said, you have one of the lower rates in the WCOG region. And so one of the other things we want to talk about is jobs. And we hear this a lot, like, oh, we have a lot of retail jobs, or we have logistics jobs, or we have jobs that we need more of this type of jobs. Actually, we need all kinds of jobs. So in the WCOG region, we have 3 employed residents for every 2 jobs, which means we don't have enough jobs. But interestingly enough, even with that, we're importing people to fill the jobs. So there are even jobs that could be held by Riverside residents or people outside of the county are holding those jobs. And so as, not surprisingly, for each of these general job categories, you have more people working in those categories, more people living in your city who work in those categories than jobs you have in your city. And so one of the things we've been looking at is, one of the policies that we've been pursuing is, let's bring more jobs to cities to get reduced congestion. Truth is, that's not going to work. Should you get more jobs? Absolutely. You need to get more jobs for your residents, more jobs for your local economy. But if you add an employer, at best, 3 out of the 4 of those jobs are going to be filled by somebody else. 1 out of 4 is the most. And the reason we base that on is we've been looking at all the cities in Southern California. So Irvine's a prime example. There's 314,000 people who live in Irvine, 125,000 residents, 300,000 jobs. But it's exporting almost 100,000 jobs a day and importing workers. So when you add jobs, you don't create jobs for your residents, you actually just bring more people into your city. And so we have also, with some of our data sets, started looking at where people actually go. And I can tell you someone from Calimesa went to Oceanside. I don't know who it is. And then someone went to Chula Vista. I like Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know if I'm going to Oceanside for Dunkin' Donuts. But in reality, these are probably what's a trip change. So someone had a longer distance trip. Maybe they're going to the city of San Diego for work or some other business purpose, and they stopped at the coffee in Oceanside. But we're starting to get to the point where we can track, we don't know who made the trip, we can track individual trips to destinations, and what we are finding is they are widely spread out. There are no clusters, there aren't clusters of employees, so you can't go to necessarily an employer and say, oh, we have 500 people working here. That just doesn't work. And so here's some key takeaways. People are asking me, why do I want to do this presentation? We just want to share information. You all are policymakers, I think it's important you have decision. One is, there's a lot of travel that's occurring that stays inside the region. You, on the outside, are the exception. There is a lot of travel that's not work-related. It's school, it's shopping, it's it's people eating. We have congestion because all those trips are happening at once. The trips on I-10, they are not just work trips. Most people do not live and work in the same cities, and I just want to remind everyone you have very little control over where your residents work or where employees in the city live. So I don't want to just share information, I want to share with you some things that potentially you could look at. And so this is a couple of different strategies different cities have looked at. They've said, okay, we need more jobs in our city, so why don't we incentivize a company to come here? So we came up with a hypothetical situation where you give a subsidy to a company for them to build an office. You might get 200 workers here. Let's say you give them $5 million to help them build that office, and then now you just maybe help 50 of your residents have jobs if you're lucky. You do the same thing with housing. If you were to subsidize housing for people who work in Calimesa so they could live in Calimesa, you would get very little bang for your buck for a substantial outlay of cash. And so let's talk about it at a regional level. So what has the state been preaching? The state of California is like, oh, we need more houses where people work. Great. Here's the problem is housing in places where they have lots of jobs like Orange County is very expensive. It's not even cheap to live in Riverside County. The average home in Riverside County is about $612,000, but you can buy a new home for as low as $400,000. And one of the reasons why Calimesa is growing is you have people who want to live here. You're a desirable community, and you have seen over the past 10 years, based on the data we've seen, an influx of younger people coming to the city. And what I also want to point out, and this is going to sound very obvious, but we have been telling people for decades to buy houses. And we're somehow shocked that people want to move out of expensive areas to buy houses. And so just a reminder, you get tax benefits, you get credit benefits, it's easier to get loans, and somehow we're shocked that people are leaving expensive areas like LA, Orange, and San Diego County to buy homes. What we've noticed is when people leave those areas, they go one of two places. They come to Riverside County or they leave the state. And so when we've tracked migration patterns from Riverside County, when people do leave Riverside County, they go to Las Vegas, Phoenix, they do go to Bakersfield and San Luis Obispo, but they're not going to Phoenix, they're going to suburban Washington. They're not going to Portland, they're going to suburban Oregon. And I would challenge you, think of someone who has left the state to find cheaper housing. I know multiple people who've done that. I think we would all know someone or we've heard of someone. So the state policies about building more housing, where the jobs are, that's not overly effective. So, okay, well, what else has the state been telling us? We need to invest in rail, we need to invest in these really expensive transportation modes. The problem is, that doesn't address that third of the trips that are work trips, because no one's gonna put their Amazon deliveries on a Metrolink station. Rail is not good for non-work home trips. So we have an intern who graduated from UCI She drove from Corona every day. Asked her, like, why did you take the train? Well, it would take me an hour to catch the different buses to go 5 miles. And so we're not making it easy. So then people drive. And then we're somehow shocked that they drive. So in conclusion, I want to remind everyone that you as local government can't tell people where to live, work, or how to travel. What you can do is give people options. So you should create opportunities for your local businesses. I can guarantee you if you have local business owners, at least some of those employees will live in Calimesa, preferably, no, just think the business owners. You have existing businesses in your city as well, so you don't want to lose any businesses. But I would also say, people come to your city because they like the city. They feel safe, they feel comfortable, it has amenities, and it's a nice place to live. So if you continue to do that, people and businesses will continue to come. You don't have to attract them, they'll just come. But I would also say, be careful of the developer or business or someone who says, I'm going to build X and it's going to bring 500 jobs for people in the city of Calimesa. You can't even guarantee they're going to be even living in this county. So in conclusion, there's a lot going on. There is a lot of travel that's happening, and there's a lot of, I think, misunderstanding on what's working. But what I would say is, places like Calimesa are important for our region because why? They're places people can move to. They have a great quality of life, people feel safe, people feel secure. And as long as you provide that, you will continue to grow. And we need that because if we don't have places where people can buy houses, they're going to leave the state. And so I just wanted to thank you all for having me. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Fascinating information.
Thank you.
They are all myths. Thank you. Great information.
Thank you.
Do I have any comments from anybody?
Just want to thank you, Chris, for coming.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely.
you.
Happy to do it.
I was fascinated the first time I heard it, even fascinated again. I wanted the council and staff to have an opportunity to hear that as we look for the future and are looking towards development and people are moving here. Try to make data-informed decisions, and so I appreciate you bringing this information.
We're happy to share, and that's I view that's one of WCOG's main roles. Compile the information, share it with you, and help you make informed decisions. So thank you for having me. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Thank you.
I got a question, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Chris, right?
Yes.
It was great. Thank you for your knowledge and information that you're providing to our city council. And the data itself, it's proven, and you're showing it right now with medical facilities. Public administration, the need it's high, and at the end of the what we're going to be talking about, it's actually a good. You nailed it right in the nail that education in the public administration sector, it's a high need. And I know based coming from the educational sector is that a lot of our residents live within the school district, and they have family members, they have their kids going to school, and like you said, we're policymakers, and that's one of the biggest benefits that we can do, provide with new businesses, to hire our residents first before they hire the external.
Sure.
And give any incentives or anything like that to support our community, especially with our young generation that are graduating from school, built their structure and their workforce of moving up into future leaderships.
Yeah.
And you said it's planning. Right now we're in the beginning stages of our city. And we got to think ahead. I've been talking about it. We got to think ahead, 10, 20 years from now, because the decisions that we make today is going to impact the future of our residents and our kids. So it's very important to kind of think about those things, not making a decision of now what we need right now, but more of the long-term effects. But thank you so much for the presentation.
Well, Mr. Gray, our population has doubled since the last election in 2020. So what does that say?
People want to be here,
Yes.
and that's something you should be proud of, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Fascinating. Okay, this takes us to communications from the public. Just want to let you know that we received a written piece of correspondence from Joyce McIntyre, and that's been provided to all the council. So I have 2 requests to speak, Donna Johnson and then Heather. Donna, do you want to come forward?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Donna Johnson here. Unfortunately, I have to come before you to resign from the commission, the Parks and Trails and Community Services. My health is deteriorating, and I just cannot do it. So, but I thank you for the opportunity, and wish you all well.
Thank you, Don, for your participation thus far. Heather Crothers?
Okay, we're going to start with regarding the approximate $18,000 for the engineered sunshade for our workers and our equipment. You throw this on the agenda last meeting without an opportunity from the citizens to voice their opinion. Our part of SoCal has the best weather in the entire nation. Our people nor our equipment will melt or rust. We absolutely recommend you walk back that irresponsible financial decision. You all have apparently lost sight of what your job is here. You are to do what your constituents want and make good decisions on our behalf. Considering you haven't fulfilled that obligation, especially with regards to our streets, our fire hazards, our understaffing issues, we therefore reject this expenditure. Our recommendation is that you get a hat and a $99 Easy Up with some sandbags, because our equipment's going to be just fine. Let's go ask those 57 homeowners if they want their tax money to go to a sunshade when you have yet to take care of their long-standing landscaping issue. Yet the tax assessments have been paid for just that, haven't they? Which leads me to the next issue. Again, irresponsible spending. You want to go make a backroom deal regarding the city purchasing the Bank of America? We're here to tell you, absolutely not. We reject you spending any more of our money for taking care of the things that this city still lacks. This guy was a perfect example. Put a business in there. I've never once seen a sale sign on that Bank of America. Let a business buy it. A private entity can buy it. A private entity had it. What are you doing? Unless this is going to be an income generating business, I don't know what you're doing. But y'all need to stop it. Put a big fat for sale sign on it. Let a private entity buy it. And how about the city collect instead of spend money for a change? Let me be real clear. This is not your money. It's not. It is the citizens of Calimesa. You 5 or 6 people are not greater than the voice and the will of the people. Regarding mayor rotation, let's talk about that. We reject this as well. Why would we let you 5 or 6 people decide when it's clear you are making bad decisions? Or that seniority suffices? It does not. It cannot and will not do the will of the people. If you continue to make bad decisions, spend our money irresponsibly, not take care of the existing problems, then we want to retain the right to remove and replace you. It should be up to the citizens, the ones who put you here.
Thank you. Okay, this moves us to approval of the agenda, consent calendar, and waiver of full reading of ordinances. Is anyone interested in pulling any items from the consent calendar? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda, consent calendar, and waive full reading of ordinances.
Move to approve agenda, consent calendar, and full reading of ordinances.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Thank you very much. Okay. This evening, we'd like to welcome Tony Phillips, who has a Calimesa Chamber of Commerce report. Lion Tony Phillips.
Well, good evening. So first off, I want to thank you guys on the consent calendar for the city's approval to go forward with the Christmas parade, our joint partnership in that with the council and the chamber. We look forward to it every year, and I appreciate that. I happened to actually read it on the consent calendar while everything's going on, so I was happy about that. Looking forward to the Christmas parade. Let's see, so our breakfast meeting in August was on the 12th at the Cafe Royale restaurant. Featured speaker was Jackie Huber from the Shannon Group in Home Care. Our next breakfast will be scheduled for September 9th at 7:30 in the morning at Cafe Royale. And our guest speaker there will be Ruben Gonzalez. Many of you know him, Executive Director of the Blue Zones Project in Banning. That's what he'll be just talking about. And then, of course, I wanted to mention the State of the City luncheon. That's scheduled for September 25th at the Plantation of the Lakes Conference Center there. Registration and sponsorship information is available through the Calimesa Chamber website. That's calimesachamber.com. Or you can call the Chamber office at 909-795-7612. We currently have, this month, have received 2 new members that joined the Chamber, and we had 2 members that did their renewal. Any question for me?
No, I'd like to extend the Christmas parade to the far ends of the city. That's a dream.
Yeah, go further on. Yeah, we got to get Caltrans involved with that. I did want to mention that I made a little mock-up monument with a flag on it for the Vet Expo in Beaumont at the Chetney Center this past Saturday. It was quite well attended. We have close to about 600 people involved there that that came in and saw what is offered to the vets, and then the Job Expo also. So that was great. But I put a little. My wife made me make it. Now she is the artist, but she made me make this little, from our discussion last time. So the monument, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to working with the city on that project. I know it's in its infancy stages right now, but this looks like something that maybe the city needs to really jump on and add to the parks or trails. We need more commissioners for that stuff too. So, thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you,
Any
Tony.
questions? Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it. Okay, this brings us to tonight's public hearing item number 8. Speakers are expected to stay within the 3 minutes to speak. Once the public hearing has been closed, no further testimony will be taken. So tonight, I'll open public hearing. Ordinance number 415, an ordinance of the City of Calimesa, California, adopting by reference the 2025 editions of the California Building, Residential, Electrical, Mechanical, Plumbing, Energy, Historical, Building, Fire, Existing Building, and Green Building Standards codes, which are codified in Title 24 of the California Code of Regulations and the 2024 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, the 1996 edition of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Permanent Foundations Guide for Manufactured Housing, with appendices thereto, including amendments, additions, and deletions, and amending Title 15 of the Calimesa Municipal Code.
This presentation will be given by our building official, Dave Fredborg.
Welcome, Mr. Fredberg.
How you doing? Council members, city manager, city staff, good to be here. Assembly Bill 306 this year requires the California jurisdictions to adopt the 2025 codes with amendments a couple months earlier than we're used to. They need to be in effect by October 1st, 2025. With that being said, we are presenting for the second reading ordinance number 415. The first reading was presented at the City of Calimesa Council meeting on August 4th, 2025. As noted in the first reading, there was a small typographical error in section 15.37.20. It can be found on page 65 of 94 of today's agenda, and it was just changing something from no less than to no greater than 48 inches. That was the only change from last reading. And I'm open for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Are there anybody in the public who'd like to comment? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing, close the public testimony, and open it up to council members. Nothing? Okay, so the recommendation is that we open the public hearing, which we did. There was no testimony, and so this is to adopt the second reading by title only of ordinance number 415. Steve, do we have to read the whole ordinance again? Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to, do we need a motion? Okay, a motion to,
I'll move to adopt the,
Thank you.
the second reading of by title only ordinance number 415.
thank you, John. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0, thank you very much. Okay, business items. Item number 9, City Commission appointment. Darlene?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. We have a vacancy on our Parks, Trails, and Community Services Commission with the resignation of Mr. Howard Reeves. He was the appointee of Councilmember Cundiff. Councilmember Cundiff has made a decision to appoint somebody to fill that vacancy, and that person is Christine Van Heining, and she has been a member of the commission before, and then she was also a member of planning, so she has plenty of experience. So tonight, Mr. Cundiff will make his appointment, and then we need to adopt the resolution to ratify, and then swear her in.
Okay. Thank you. Would you like to go?
Yes, I make a motion that we appoint Christine Van Heining to the Parks and Trails Commission.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Okay. Right, there you are. Would you join me at the podium? Okay, we're going to administer the oath. So you repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose, or that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations. Welcome. Would you like that paper to put your name? Okay, next item is item number 10, appointment of the League of California Cities voting delegate representing Calimesa at the annual League of California Conference that's coming up in October or September? Let's see.
October.
October. It's always October. Okay, so I registered to attend the conference, but not the hotel. It was very costly. I thought it's no need to spend that money. It's close by. So I'm being on a policy committee. I have business there, so letting the council know that I will be there. And then we need a delegate as well. So I'm looking to the council for a nomination for the delegate and also the alternate.
I will go ahead and nominate you as the delegate from our city council.
And is anyone else planning on attending this conference?
I was actually looking at the agenda, and that's when we noticed that there was only the mayor was going to be attending. So I actually made arrangements. So I'll be attending with the mayor as well to just support our city.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so you'd like to be the delegate?
Yes, I asked my boss for permission, which is my wife, and she said I'm okay with that.
That's funny. Okay, so I will make a motion to for Linda and Edgar to represent the city of Calimesa at the Cal Cities Conference in October in Long Beach.
So is the motion that Mayor Molina will be the voting delegate
Yes.
and then Councilmember Garcia the alternate?
That's correct.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Did you make the motion, John?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, 5-0. Thank you very much. Okay, item number 11, consideration and direction of a mayor rotation policy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is a council discussion regarding a potential mayor rotation policy. Currently, the mayor and mayor pro tem are selected among the members of the city council each year by a majority vote of the city council, as defined in the Calimesa Municipal Code, but there's no policy in place for selection of the nominees. Some council members have asked staff to bring forward examples of other cities that have adopted structured rotation systems. Tonight's goal is to receive direction from the city council and on whether you would like to establish such a policy here in Calimesa, and if so, what elements it should contain. I'll now hand it back over to Mayor Molina to lead the discussion, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Okay, so tonight we've been provided information about how other cities have done their rotation program. We're not stuck to any one. We don't have to accept one at all. But I'd like to have council comment on what their position is. So Edgar, we'll start with you. You had a chance to read. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, team, for bringing this up for us as well, too. So I was looking through the agenda and the ordinance of different cities, and one of the things that kind of our neighboring city, which is Beaumont, it's the closest one that I can probably believe that we should. However, I know on items, go back to my notes, section I and K, that's more of a, I believe we should remove that to just have the mayor and pro mayor and every council member to have a rotations equally once a year. The reason I said section section I and K is if the council is split, the system can. I'm probably too close. The reason why I mentioned that for section I and K is if the council split, the system can make it difficult to reach the 3 votes needed to ratify a mayor or pro mayor tempore. That gridlock may delay leadership transitions, create uncertainty, and slow down the important city businesses and divided times. The process risks stalling progress instead of moving our community forward. I can probably provide a pretty good example. It's just like, unfortunately, 2 cities down from us is Banning. It's a good example of a undivided council. The good thing is we don't have an undivided council here. So it's a good thing, but we just don't know what's going to happen down in the future with future elections. So I believe that everyone should have an equal opportunity to become a pro mayor and mayor with seniority and everyone else. And just to kind of keep everyone equally and just kind of respect everybody's leadership here as a council and as a policymaker. One of the other things too that that I would like is just more of that section I and K to be removed and to adopt something similar to that. And probably down in the future as the city grows, have an election for mayor and pro mayor as the city grows more like Moreno Valley or surrounding cities when it comes into party districts. So, and that's all I have.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I just want to be clear. So you wanted just to rotate the mayor pro tem positions, not all councils? Did I hear you correctly?
No, so all the council members to
Oh,
rotate,
okay.
yeah, once a year, so that everybody be treated, so everybody have an equal balance of 1 year. So I know on the Beaumont it says, I can go back, read the sections. It says the office and the mayor and the pro temper shall rotate each year based on the number of years each council member has been in office. Each council member shall be given a specific position in rotation sequence. The first person in the sequence, as determined by tenure by the city council, shall serve as mayor, and the second person in the sequence shall serve as a pro mayor tempore. After serving as mayor, that council member moves to the end of the rotation sequence, and the other 4 council members move forward, causing the mayor pro tempore to become mayor. So it's more of a chain of command moving forward with seniority with the seniorities. And the next council member in the rotation after the pro mayor, Timber Sheldon, become the mayor. Okay, when a council member is newly elected or appointed, a new council member is placed in the fourth position in the rotation after all, but before the current ongoing mayor. And that's the reason I'm requesting the I and the K, because everything looks balanced until it kind of reaches there that you need the majority of the votes of the rest council members, which it can probably become more of that.
Thank you. Thank you, Angelina, for coming tonight. Jeff, do you want to go next for your comments?
I think I more or less agree with Councilmember Garcia. I like the options of a hybrid approach between the, sorry, I'm scrolling backwards, to Beaumont and Marietta. I wrote down here some essentials I wanted to underscore related to those models. So I think the main idea is that the mayor and mayor pro tem shall serve one-year terms, right? And that no member shall serve consecutive terms as mayor and mayor pro tem unless all other council members decline those positions, right? The eligibility, though, and this is where I think it's a little bit of a hybrid here. For the I forget if this was Marietta or Beaumont's, the eligibility requirement to be mayor, to have served at least 2 full years on the city council to be eligible to be the mayor, 1 full year to be mayor pro tem. And that's just for experience, right? Purposes. I think, let's see, what else here? I think that for the rotation, though, once we start a rotation policy, I think it will automatically be the mayor pro tem who fills the mayor position. I don't know, but at least that's what I'm saying. So I think we would just be deciding on the mayor pro tem every year, right? And so that would go by seniority, is how I'm envisioning that. Or if there's multiple council members who are elected at the same time and we're trying to figure out seniority, it would go by the highest vote getter, right? Would be the higher seniority. I'm sorry if this isn't making sense.
That makes
I'm
perfect
trying to talk through some of these. So a couple ideas, I forget which one had this as well, but of course any council member has the right to decline either of those positions, in which case it would just skip over to the next person in line. However, here's one idea that I have that I didn't find in either one of them, and I just want to raise this for council consideration. I'd like to hear what people say. If nobody else likes this, that's fine. But this is kind of an idea to try to prevent somebody being in the mayor position who I would think would be unfit for that position. And so how to go about, I agree with Councilmember Garcia that everyone should have equal opportunity for that position. However, in the event that the next person to be mayor is unfit for that position, and by unfit I just wrote down some ideas like, you know, God forbid that they've been censured by the council or something like that, right? Or they're violated some important ethics, state ethics codes, or state law for that matter, or any other reasons we might say they would be unfit for that position. And so maybe by a 4/5 vote of council, we could then skip over that person. It's just an idea throwing out there, something to that effect. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. I think I've said the gist of my perspective on that, so I will
Thank you. Eric, would you like to go next?
So, at least as my position on this and as I see it is, the mayor and staff, correct me if I'm wrong, has the same vote as all of us. So they're not more there's no more any authority from them with their vote than there would be from Edgar or you or John or myself. Conducting the meetings and then being the head when they go to different events and stuff like that. So it's an honorable position clearly, but as far as the value that some may put on it, it's just not the same as it would be like in LA
It's
or
ceremonial.
New York. It's a ceremonial position. So the rotation I do like. I do like that because I think it breaks it up from having one person sit in it too long and then maybe the rest of the council gets overlooked when some information may be shared with that individual, and then they take it upon themselves to make a decision for the council, and then that doesn't ever get to us, that could be a problem. You know, especially as it pertains to development or any kind of growth or things of that nature, right? So I like the rotation. I do like so looking at Beaumont's layout, I really liked what they have. I really like the not consecutive 2 years, you know, serve 1 year, then you have to step away. I do like contrary to what, you know, Councilman Garcia had said, but I like it for that same reason what Jeff was pointing out, was if we have somebody that is that deficient, because people in this city are going to elect who they elect, right? And if we end up with something like down the road that was mentioned, where it's very contentious individual who is, you know, problematic, they're still going to need to get 3 votes to have that title of having mayor. And if that individual is that way and has been censured, or not to say that that's a criteria, but if they've done that, then I'd like to be able to say, you know, that we can vote no on that, and then they just get passed over, and then on to the next. As far as the time limit that Jeff, you were talking about from Murrieta, I'm not in favor of 2 years for that. I think 1 year to serve as mayor. Mayor Pro Tem, I think a first-year person could be, and especially if we're talking about backgrounds, like if they came from some other city from somewhere else and maybe served on commissions or councils or something, you know, that might, you know, they have some experience with government, you know, already. So that's my feeling on that, but, you know, I like that we're having a good discussion on it to try to make it so that it is fair, you know, but at the same time have some safety nets there in case we get somebody that's, you know, problematic for the city, you know. So that's my thoughts.
So you're against the mayor having served at least 2 years? You're fine with 1 year? I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would not be in favor of having somebody had served for 2 years and then
Before they can be mayor.
before they can be mayor.
Okay. Thank you. John, your comment?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I have a little bit different take on it, but I think the main points for me is the position, you know, position of mayor, as we mentioned. It's kind of the power is shared equally here as far as the voting power goes. Some small things that the mayor can do. I still see it as a position that kind of should be earned. That's how I view it. So I'm not in favor of just rotating it in like I guess a fair way. I think it should be up to either to the citizens or up to the council to appoint somebody. That's why we do it every year. So I think it's already in place to where if the council as representatives of the community feel they're not doing a good job, then we can go a different direction. Or if they just want to simply give somebody another shot at it to spread it around, then the council can do that every year. We have the opportunity to do that. So I don't think I'll be in favor of any type of rotation of any kind. But if that's the way the direction that looks like we might end up anyways, just some of my thoughts. If we did have to do some rotation, I would like to at least you'd have to still get a majority vote. You got to get 3 votes. So in order to take that position, whether it's, you know, even if we're doing the rotation, it's your turn, you still got to get 3 people to approve the position. I don't feel that we have to necessarily, has to be anything egregious. You just got to get 3 votes just like you did before. So
Yeah, that's how it currently is.
yeah, just like it is now. So if it's going to be rotational, you still got to get the 3 votes no matter what. So if we can at least keep that in place, I'd be in favor of that. And I think as far as the seniority aspect of it, if we're trying to sort out it, you know, three new people are elected. I think the top vote getters. So anytime seniority is going to be a factor, I think we should have that in place as far as who has the most votes when seniority is going to have to be sorted out. Something like that in there, I think would be necessary. Those are probably the couple main things. If we are going to rotate, at least have some of that stuff in there. But like I said, I'm not in favor of it in general. And that's all I have.
Thank you. So I saved my comments for last. I you know, I think it's important for everyone to have a leadership role. We're all just one of 5. We have equal power, but it's prestigious to be a representative of the city. And it's also important to have the knowledge of conducting meetings, having familiarity, and being a support for all the council members, because every 2 years we have a potential to have new council members. And so it's important that you have people who are familiar with governance and who want to serve, but that everyone has the opportunity to be mayor. And so I agree with all the comments. I really think we should have a rotation process, so that it's a given that, you know, everyone has a shot at being mayor, and that it's for clarity purposes for any new coming council member, that there's already a plan in place, and that doesn't have to be decided at a meeting where you just say, okay, who wants to be mayor? Okay, who wants to be mayor pro tem? It's an organized pattern of governance. And again, it takes 3 votes to make anything permanent. And so I'm in favor of I think Will, you've heard all of our comments. If you could put something together.
Well, maybe we can have some further discussion, Mayor,
Yeah.
if you may, on
Yes.
now that we've heard everybody's perspective.
Yeah.
I've got a clarification question, I think, for Councilmember
Okay.
Hanley. I just want to make sure I understand what he's saying. So,
Okay.
so I think what I'm hearing you say is you like the status quo, what we're doing now, essentially, because that's what we're doing now, just 3 votes, and then we elect a mayor that way. Am I understanding it
Yeah.
correctly? Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to change it at all, essentially.
Yeah.
I was just going to throw my comments in there. If the council wants to go that direction, then I'll give some input as far as how I would want that to look if I don't have a choice. But my preference would be just to keep it as it is.
Okay. And then for Councilmember Cundiff, you like a rotation, but I think the distinguishing feature for you is that one, to be mayor, you would only need to serve on the council for 1 year. Am I understanding that correctly? And then otherwise you like a rotation, is following a seniority pattern, so we don't really vote. It's just the next person in line takes it, or how does that work? Yeah.
So I agree with, I believe
Okay.
kind of how this was kind of outlined for Beaumont, and to John's point is that we still have to vote. They still have to get, you know, the majority of the vote. So even though we put something in place, if we were to do that, and then have Councilman A and Councilman B be the mayor pro tem, then when it's time for Councilman B pro tem to be elected, he or she still has to get 3 or more votes in order to be nominated to the mayor's position.
I like that, but in a sense, I think my pushback would be on something like that it would just result in the status quo as well. Because if that person doesn't have 3 votes, it just goes on to the next person, and so whoever has the majority of the votes will end up just being in that position. So it kind of negates the rotational process.
So I suppose it theoretically could do that.
Right.
If it came time for Councilman B, you know, pro tem, to be elected to mayor, and he or she falls into that category of being somebody that we would not want representing the city for various reasons.
Right.
Then that individual would not get the votes, and then it would go to the next in line, keeping with the seniority and the other items that were listed. I think that's a safeguard for us. My opinion is that's a safeguard for us in the event that we have somebody like that, that we still have control over that. It's not just an automatic, this person gets it, next year this person gets it, next year the person gets it, and then on and on and on. There still has to be a vote for it, and if the individual is perfect and fine and sound and everything's good, there's no reason why they wouldn't get the votes. If the individual's not a good individual for various reasons, then
I hear what you're saying, and
then
I wanted a clause to that effect as well. I
Yeah,
just
then-
worry that 3 is
Well,
gonna.
then you would go to the next one in line for rotation.
Yeah.
And if they decline, it would go to the next one in rotation. So it's a plan, everyone knows what the plan is. You're not stuck with it if you're not ready or you don't
Sure.
you want to decline. You just go back to to the end of the line, but.
I just want to make a point of clarification just so that I understand, because obviously I will be the one charged with trying to put this thing together. If we're looking, thank you, I appreciate that. If we're looking at Beaumont's kind of as a model, it feels like we're taking a lot of elements from that. in their rotation, if someone doesn't get the majority votes and that goes to the next person, that person does. The person that didn't get the majority vote does not lose their place in line. So they would then be up for mayor again in the next year. So I just want to make sure that we want to deviate. If we're deviating from that, I just want to make sure I understand that.
Right, so, I didn't mean to jump in there. Okay, that's one of the things that I underlined, and I thought that it would be appropriate to send them to the end of the line, which would be the fair thing. You know, not step
That's up
them right
there.
behind and
Okay.
then bump the next person that was up in seniority.
Got it. Okay. Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood that. Okay.
Yeah, I would be in favor of that person going to the end of the line and then going through it again.
Yes, go
Okay.
ahead.
So I understand the whole 3 votes, but we're elected for 4 years. So kind of putting it back at the end of the line will lose opportunity for pro mayor or mayor, because now you're putting them back at the end of the on the seniority list at the end of the list. So for that person to move up again up to that's going to take another additional 4 years. That's the whole thing I was considering about the INK, of not by removing those, because it will be the majority of the votes for that individual to be elected for pro mayor or mayor. And I definitely understand where Jeff is coming from. I do definitely agree that we should probably put some language on the legal portion, just in case if somebody's not fit, if they violated a lot of the Brown Act rules or any laws, and that's where our city attorney will kick in, because he will definitely be working with those future members or anyone that comes down the line to get guidance for that. But I think we should probably add some legal portion of it. If you do section A and B and you violate these policies, then you will automatically get disqualified based on this, because we don't want to put the city liable for something like that. And that's the reason why I don't agree with the 3 votes, just so everybody can get an equal opportunity for everything. But I do agree with Jeff putting that legal portion of it, just to kind of protect the city as well too.
Did you get all that, Will?
So the 3 votes is currently what's required.
Yes.
Right. So that's, I think, why it's the minimum, it's the majority, which is why I'm okay with the 3 votes, for or against, either way.
So my only worry about the 3 votes is the way that Beaumont does it, Will, or anybody can answer this. Is it that you have to still get 3 votes of the council? Is it like just a confirmation of it?
No, they have to be voted in.
They have to actually be voted in.
Yeah.
Yeah, voted in. Just like for example, like that's what I was kind of showing. Banning is a good example when you have conflict within council, that if you have the majority of 3 votes that are against somebody, then those 2 council members that are well qualified will not get elected for
Yeah.
pro mayor or mayor, and now you're sitting with an imbalanced council, because they're getting the majority of the votes, just like us, how we got elected for 3. We just elected for 3 new council members, but what if all 3 of us was a good example of banning, and that would have overturned the situation into a positive, into a negative.
Right. So I'm thinking about how we do it right now, and essentially then the only change is that instead of a nomination of who's going to be mayor and mayor pro tem, it would just be a rotation of that, but we'd still have to vote in the person, right? So essentially,
The way
the
it
only
stands right now
change
is
is that to our
someone's
current process
nominated, and
is
then
instead of
there's vote.
nomination, we have a rotation, and we say the only people that can be to serve has to be on council for 1 year. So no newly elected people. That's the only change, essentially. then?
It effectively the rotation system becomes the
The nomination process.
and the vote is a ratification.
Right.
I think in some of these cases, looking back at some of the other cities, I think the only one that does require the affirmative vote is Beaumont. And that might be because it's codified in their municipal code. That's kind of a unique feature of theirs. Whereas the other ones are either policies or resolutions. So, they don't carry necessarily the same weight, but they've all agreed that this is the way we're going to do it until we change it. So, but again, because it's by resolution, The part that might be missing is then referring back to the municipal code, because our municipal code currently says, under presiding officer, the city council shall meet annually to elect one of its number as mayor and another of its number as mayor pro tem. So, and then it describes when that takes place. So, you know, the council is free to decide how you want to make that nomination work, whether it's just a nomination or if there's a rotation policy that allows for that nomination, kind of an automatic nomination as a default nomination. But there have been, you know, examples where, you know, cities have, you know, deviated from their rotation policies by a majority, you know, by votes of the council or whatnot. So again, those are just things to consider, you know, as you discuss this. But I think that the way it's written in our municipal code, you elect those. So I think that you know, that could, the policy could establish the rotation, or at least the nomination in the nomination process, and then the municipal code then takes over as to actually electing those members to those positions.
Councilmember Manley, how do you feel about that, given the fact that if it's just the nomination process is just being replaced by the rotation, so that's essentially all that's changed now.
Yeah, it simplifies
Yeah.
everything we talked
Yeah.
about, but I mean, I still am not gonna be in favor of rotating, but I feel a little bit better about at least having a majority vote to approve whoever's nominated or rotates in. So that's better than nothing.
Are we in consensus then?
The majority of the vote will be still within the majority of the votes to rotate. Is that what I'm understanding?
The way it stands now is we'd established the system right now. Okay, so the way it is now, if we formalize the rotation, that's the nomination, and then we just vote on as on the members.
Okay.
Whoever's in position to be mayor pro tem.
Okay, without the majority of the votes, correct? Is that
We
No,
still
with
have
the
vote.
majority. Yeah.
oh, the majority of the votes?
Right.
That would create a nomination.
Yes.
A nomination
Right.
rotation, yeah, but it still requires, would require an affirmative act of the majority to approve that nomination.
That kind of goes back again with what I was speaking earlier, because my other one was have the city vote for pro mayor and mayor, having the residents just put in for elections.
That's a
That
whole
would be
different-
that would
that's a
be
whole different-
that would be yeah. There would be we would definitely have to change municipal code. Does that have to actually be a vote?
Yes, if you want to switch to a separately elected mayor, it does require a vote of the voters of the city.
Yeah. So they would have to be put on the ballot for that to be approved.
A very specific process called out the government code for that.
And yeah, so I don't know, Mayor, what you think, but I would make a recommendation that we would direct staff to maybe draw up a draft of a policy, and we can look at it at the next council meeting, and then maybe make some edits and revisions based upon that draft.
I'll go back and I'll probably watch this discussion 2 or 3 times to make sure I pick it all up.
Okay. Is everyone in agreement?
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah,
more
I think-
for that, Mayor.
Wonderful.
Just sure if you can put that legal language in there too, if any council members violates anything, just to protect the city.
I will try to do my best with that, but I will probably defer to this gentleman here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you all very much. Okay, at this point, we're down to mayor and council member reporting of county and regional meetings and conferences. Eric, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the 7th, I attended a TNOW meeting in Beaumont, and the presentation that I was talking to you earlier about was, it was for the Blue Zones, which somebody else had mentioned that, I think in here. Tony, I think, had mentioned it
Right.
in his chamber thing. So they were doing a lot of things in the Blue Zones. So there was not a lot of transportation topics during that conversation in that meeting. And then on the 12th of August, I attended the ad hoc animal control meeting, and not a lot to report from that other than to say there's going to be a future meeting for council I'm sorry, for Mayor Pro Tem Cervantes and myself to attend with the other electeds, along with the Morongo representatives, to see what we can do to bring some solution to this. Many of you may be aware of the fact that we contract to Riverside County for our animal control efforts, and costs are not getting any cheaper. And the pass area between Banning, Beaumont, Morongo, and us, and even Cherry Valley for that matter, there's a crisis with animals and storing those animals when they're picked up. Horses, cats, cows, goats, you name it. There's a whole list of animals that they're trying to facilitate. So that's what that's all about. And so there's a group effort of us trying to get some information to bring back to councils to share.
Councilmember Cundiff, can I just add something on that real quick? Because
Absolutely.
you mentioned something about our contract. So yes, we recently renewed our contract with Riverside County for 3 years. And what's interesting is currently we are the only city in the pass area that actually has the ability and capacity to do sheltering because we have the contract with the county. Beaumont and Banning both do not have any shelter capacity other than, I think, Beaumont has a few kennels, and I think Banning's in the same position. And then they have an animal control officer in Beaumont, but really nowhere to put those animals, and so they're having to turn people away. So they're in a lot bigger situation than we are currently. And so, this committee is not only trying to explore long-term solutions, which I think the city of Calimesa would be wise to participate in so that we could eventually have shelter facilities closer to our city. But on the short-term basis, they have a short-term problem to solve that we don't. So I think that was a big thing too. So they're working on both short-term and long-term solutions, but I think the city of Calimesa is going to be interested in participating on the longer-term solutions, because it'll be, we want to make sure it's something cost-effective, but also provides, the service that's needed for our city.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, and I apologize for forgetting that. So, so that the short-term thing is not something that we're going to be involved in to help out with that solution. But the goal is to have something that's going to last long-term, looking down the future, for all of our animal needs as well as the pass areas. So those are the only meetings that I attended. And lastly, I'd like to thank the staff for their great work on the food and music on the Friday at the Summerwind Park. Although I did not attend, I know it was a great event as I attended previous ones there. And I know it's a lot of work, and the staff does a great job doing that. And even though they don't get the notice in the newspaper that we're having that, I wish the News Mirror would put that in there that we were having it on Fridays so more citizens would know. But it's okay. But they're doing a great job, and I just want them to be noted for that. And lastly, I'd like to thank Donna for her service on the Parks and Trails as well, and wish you good luck and good health in your future endeavors. So that's all I have.
Thank you. John?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I did not attend any regional meetings, and that will conclude my report.
Thank you. Edgar?
I didn't report any regional meetings, but I do want to thank the staff for everything that you guys have been doing, especially our Sheriff's Department. Captain, thank you so much for supporting Summer Winds for the first day of school, and the team. Dr. Officer, as well too, thank you so much for the hard work that you guys have been providing out there. And Donna, thank you as well too for advocating for our community and all the hard work that you've been putting in, and being out there, volunteering your time for our city as well too. I've seen you out there giving your hard working hours for our community. Thank you so much for you guys. Thanks.
Okay, so the only thing I'll say is I attended our city's finance committee ad hoc, and I think an important thing to report from that is our finance director prepared a fantastic draft of a grant program guidelines and application. You might remember several months ago we talked about local organizations and 501c3s in the area who might want to apply for, we talked about them having to apply for money from the city and grants. So she put together a fantastic draft of those guidelines and an application that we got to look at, first iteration of that, make some comments, and then I'm sure the entire council will get a chance to weigh in on that as well very shortly. But want to say I really like what I see so far. So And also kudos to the city manager for his input on that as well. So more to come. Let me also just say thank you, Donna, for your service to the city, and I wish you well in the future and good health. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Okay, I had just a couple of meetings. In August, there were no SCAG meetings. On August 13th, I attended an RCTC meeting and provided the summary of those meetings to the full council. And on the 16th, represented Calimesa at the Vet Expo in Beaumont, as Tony Phillips mentioned earlier. And very well attended. It was a job fair for veterans, and they in Beaumont, the group that does this puts it on twice a year, so it's a lot of information for our veterans. I'd like to thank our presenters, Mr. Fredborg and Mr. Gray. And Don, I'd like to also thank you for your service. We value our commissioners. I'm sorry that you're not feeling well, but I wish you well. And I'd like to welcome Christine as a new commissioner. And I'd especially like to thank staff for all their hard work. As they do, they wear many hats, and we appreciate them very much. Will, we appreciate your leadership. And at this point, we will now go into closed session. And yes. Oh, I forgot
Yeah,
you,
I
Will.
just-
I
it's
should
okay.
have
That's all right.
Just wiped you off. I apologize.
That's okay.
I didn't flip the page.
That's
I'm
all
sorry.
right. That's okay. Just have a few announcements.
Okay.
So the Friday food roundups have been mentioned. We have two more this coming Friday, the 22nd, as well as August 29th. Both will be at Summerlin Park from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And again, I want to echo council comments. Thanks to the staff for putting on these events for the community. Also, on Saturday, August 30th, please join us for the city's 35th anniversary celebration. It'll take place from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. On Myrtlewood Drive between Calimesa Boulevard and 5th Street. There'll be food trucks, live music, vendors, and a carnival area, which may or may not include a dunk tank. Since we incorporated in 1990, we're taking it back to the 90s, so wear your best neon shirts, parachute pants, and fanny packs. I hope to see you all there.
Wow, thank you.
And lastly, I can't remember if Tony mentioned or not, but if he did, I just want to remind everyone, the State of the City will be Thursday, September 25th, Plantation on the Lakes. Check-in will begin at 11:30, lunch will be served, and if you want to purchase tickets, you can get them at calimesachamber.com. What? Oh, well, I'm just talking for the general public. For the council, yes. If you're attending, please let Darlene know. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so sorry I overlooked you. Okay, now we will go into closed session. We have two items.
First item on the council closed session is public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code 54957, title City Manager. Second item is conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Gov Code 54956.8. Property under discussion is 1055 Calimesa Boulevard. Under negotiation, price and terms for acquisition of the property by the city. City's negotiator is the city manager. The other negotiating party is Bank of America, National TR, and SVGS Association.
Thank you. And when we return, we'll adjourn to the closed session meeting of the City Council on September 4th. Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you all for coming.